Okay, so I wanted to go over one of these graphing problems here. This is problem number 11 from page 40, a real-world graph problem. Reviewed some of these in class today, and there's definitely some issues out there. So I thought I would go over this one together. So the table here shows you temperatures at various depths in a lake, okay? And it asks you to graph the ordered pairs on a coordinate plane, and then some other questions. All right, but we're really most importantly looking at the graph here, okay, and setting up the graph. So the things we need to do to set up the graph first is we need to give it a title, okay? So temperature versus depth, we'll call it. That's some lake, okay? Now we have to decide which thing is going to go on the x-axis and which is going to go on the y-axis. The input variable, the independent variable, always goes on the x-axis. So which of these is the input and which is the output? Sometimes it's not so easy to tell, okay? Well, the input variable is going to be the one that you are choosing the values for, okay? So it looks to me like 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, that is the input variable, because those are numbers I would pick. I would not be picking these numbers. They don't even go in order, right? So these are the outputs, the temperatures, okay? And the inputs are going to be the depth. So the depth is going to be x, and the temperature is going to be y, input and output. All right, so now we can set up our two axes. The input variable, the x variable, is going to go on the horizontal axis. So that's going to be depth in feet. Okay, you must include feet, the units, when you label your axis. Okay, and then we need to look at, well, what depths do we need to cover in the graph? Well, it goes from 0 to 50. So we'll start at 0, and let's see, if we're going to do 50, we could go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So that looks pretty good. So each one of these lines will be worth 5, and I will, sorry about that, and I will, oh God, stop. Okay, and I will label 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, at each line. Each space here then is worth 10. Each space is worth 10 feet on the graph. Okay, then we have temperature on the y-axis. So this is going to be temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. And again, because they give you units here, it's not temperature in degrees Celsius, it's Fahrenheit. So you're going to include the units in your label, all right? And the temperature is going to go from 53 to 75, okay? So I don't need to start at 50, although it's probably going down as the depth goes up. So maybe I'll start at 40, okay? And you can do that by just starting here at 40, or you could put a 0 here and a lightning bolt, right? That's also an option for the y-axis. You do not have to start at 0. So now I have to go up to 74. So if I do 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, that seems fine. So I will do, okay, and this is what you have to do. You just experiment, count the blocks, figure out a good scale. The key is that every blank on both axes has to be worth the same amount. Every blank here is worth 5 feet. Now these don't have to be worth 5 feet. They can be worth 100 each one, but every one here is worth 5 degrees Fahrenheit. They happen to be the same here in my example. Okay, so now my scale is set up, my graph is set up, and now I plot the points. Okay, so 0 feet, 74 degrees. That's going to be right there. 10 feet, 72 degrees. That's going to be right there, basically. 20 feet, 71 degrees, right there. 30 feet, 61 degrees, so just a little bit above the 60, right there. 40 feet, 55 degrees. That one's definitely right there. And 50 feet, 53 degrees will be right there. Okay, so there's your points are plotted now. Okay, now really right now you can just stop there, but you can make an observation that, hey, these points do not look to me like they're going to make a straight line. They're not. Okay, they're going to be kind of all over the place. Now you could connect them. That's perfectly fine. If you wanted to connect these, it depends on what you're going to do with this. Later on, we'll connect points like this, but these points really are not, they're not in a straight line, okay? Which is why the answer here is no, you cannot write an equation, okay? Because there's no pattern here, okay? There is no pattern between the x and the y, okay? And then the last part of this question is, what's the domain and the range? So that's easy enough to do. We know that the domain is the set of input values. So that's going to be 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. And the range is the output values, 53, 55, 61, 71, 72, 74. Again, if any of these were repeated, we would only list them once in the domain or the range, and you order them from least to greatest. Okay, so this example of making a real-world graph is one of the key pieces that's going to be on the test. Okay, this is going to be the one that you're going to have to do on paper. So, and we'll look at more practice of this. We'll look at another one Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday, right at the beginning, probably of class, to go over another one of these. But you have one of these, number 6, on the study guide, so that's an important one to do. We'll definitely look at the answers that you have for problem number 6 on the study.